All right, the topic for this workshop is H&I. Are you guys pretty familiar with H&I? Has anybody here done H&I before?
What's that?
What is that? H&I is where we carry the message of hope into facilities that cannot go out to an outside meeting. So jails, institutions, detox facilities. And really for me, it's always been kind of an introductory to Narcotics Anonymous. I try to tell people, don't have your cousin with a 12-pack and a fat sack pick you up from jail, try to get to a meeting if you're still playing. So anyway, we have a few things going on this morning for you. Are we starting with our deal? Okay, so what we're going to do is we have a little skit here at the beginning. So if you will, bear with us. We're not actors, so anyway, we're trying to mix it up a little. So if you will, I don't know how many of you are familiar with a detox facility. Just imagine that this is a detox facility near you. And Anita and I are the inmates. Yes.
Client.
Client.
Resident.
All right.
Man, you going to that, what's that meeting?
I thought all of our sessions were done.
No, they're bringing us in a meeting. Just a minute.
You mean we get to leave?
Yeah, we get to go in the break room, and they're gonna bring some socks, 'cause it'll be cold.
Oh, man. I don't know if anything's going to be better than this.
I know, right?
Okay.
Let's go.
Hey, welcome.
Hey, hello.
Hey guys, we're from the Northeast Georgia H&I Subcommittee. We're here to introduce y'all to Narcotics Anonymous. I've handed out some readings. And
Hey, y'all got some socks? Y'all got some socks? My feet are cold. They won't let me have my socks.
Hey,
I have some socks.
can you call my wife? Can you get in touch with my wife?
we actually can't call your wife, and we don't have any socks.
Got any nutty buddies?
I'm sorry, that's not our purpose here. We're
Hey,
here.
can you call my probation officer?
No, we can't do that either, I'm afraid. But we can teach you what to do when you leave here and how to find an NA meeting when you get out.
I need my meds adjusted.
We're here to bring a message of recovery from Narcotics Anonymous. I'm Lisa and I'm an addict.
Hey, Lisa.
Hey, Lisa.
You tell people that you're an addict?
I do, in certain environments, because I'm here to help share my story, my experience through the note, let y'all know there's a new way to live without drugs and find some freedom.
Okay, since I passed those readings out, let's start this meeting with the Serenity Prayer. A moment of silence, please.
Okay. I'm Lulu, I'm an addict. Hi, Sherry. So when people volunteer to help us take meetings into facilities, we have an orientation we do that just covers some basic do's and don'ts, and a lot of it's common sense, but we go over it anyway, just in case. So on the do's, we adhere to the security regulations at all times. We arrive early to help set up the meeting. They usually have a strict timeline that they're allowing the meeting. If we show up late and run late, we could be throwing the whole schedule off. So being punctual is important. We keep the staff informed of our whereabouts at all times. We don't wander around the facility. We obey the dress code, which is exercising common sense. Different facilities have different dress codes. The jails want us to wear closed-toed shoes. Things with sleeves are better than what I got on right now. Just common sense stuff. You don't have to dress up. We just have to, be covered. And adhere to the clean time requirements of the facility and H&I committee. Each facility has different clean time requirements that's set up when they first establish the meetings. So we have to have the right clean time amount to go in different facilities. And we ensure that a clear NA message is carried by all panel members. We use the literature approved and provided by H&I that's stamped with our local phone line number. We start and end on time. We explain briefly what H&I is as it's stated on the meeting format. We clarify that NA is separate from the facility and from other fellowships. And we emphasize that NA recovery is available to all addicts regardless of drugs used. We explain the language we use: addict, clean, recovery, clean time, so they're not confused with all the other fellowships and programs. We involve the residents with the meeting, and we emphasize the importance of getting to an NA meeting the first day out of the facility. That's a big deal, to actually start a new way of life, not to go back to all the old things and the people that weren't necessarily good influences. So we emphasize the importance of sponsorship, regular NA meeting attendance, and group commitments after they get out of the facility. We remember this is a we program. No addict should feel like he or she's being preached to. My general rule of thumb is just never use the word you. I this, we this, and then nobody feels like they're getting scolded, which is important because we want them to feel welcome, not like they're in trouble. Let's see, we remember that an addict is an addict regardless of age. The ones that are in treatment by the time of 15 could be dead by 16. So it's never any of that, what you hear in the old days of, oh, I've dropped more on the floor than you use. These are people's lives. Like, we want people to make it. Doesn't matter how old they are or how young they are. Tell them there is fun to be had in recovery. Social events, fellowships, conventions, and acknowledge and validate their feelings in clean time. It's basically a mini NA meeting going into the facility to show them what an NA meeting is and just plant a seed, and then if they know about the program and want something different, they can know to find us when they get out. So now that I've covered all the positive, warm, fluffy things, Sherry's going to tell us what we don't do in an HMI.
I'm Sherry Addict.
Hi, Sherry.
And I get to tell you what you don't do. Because we don't want to jeopardize the meeting going into the facility. If you do something that's on our don't list, we could lose it. And then the addict doesn't get the message. So these are super important as well. And again, it doesn't isolate the resident that's in there. Don't debate any issue involving the facility's rules, regulations, programs, or other fellowships with residents or staff. We just don't do it. Don't discuss conditions with the facility, and we don't discuss the staff members with the residents that are there. Just like they came in and they wanted socks and they wanted all this other stuff, call somebody. We don't do any of that. We can't. It'll jeopardize. They would think we're taking messages out. We can't do that. So it's anonymous in there too. Don't sponsor residents in the treatment facility that you attend as an H&I member. So we don't sponsor. We go in there as an introductory to Narcotics Anonymous and encourage them to come to a meeting when they get out to get a sponsor. We don't accept money or gifts or give money or gifts to any resident. Don't debate or discuss outside issues on which drugs are acceptable. Remember, we have no opinion on outside issues. Don't bring any contraband items into the facility. The facility that we go into in Athens, Clarke County, we only take our keys and our ID. That's it. We can't take our phone in there, any of that. It's not allowed. And don't take messages or carry letters in or out of the facility. Don't show favoritism to any resident. That's super important because if you're only focusing on one and saying hi to them every time you come into a meeting, but you're not saying hi to everybody else, it can isolate people. So we want to know they're all welcome. And also favoritism could be conceived as sponsorship. We don't do that. Don't bring in an NA member who has friends in the facility or a family member in there. A lot of people want to get interested in H&I because they have a family member in there. And if you do, you're not going to be able to go in. We screen everybody to make sure that, because that could jeopardize our meeting as well. Sorry, it was such a glare. All right, don't wear flashy jewelry and don't carry any cash. Don't use excessive profanity. The way I like to understand this is that, you know, when you share in the regular meeting, if you're using a lot of profanity, that's not what happens in H9. And we've learned that the basic text carries a very, very effective message, and there's not one cuss word in it. So, you know, be mindful of that, because we are the image of NA for when they come out. Don't attend H9 meetings alone. This is super important. We do try to schedule 3 people for every meeting, just in case one has an emergency come up. But if you commit, we depend on you to go in there, because if you don't show up and another person doesn't show up, they don't get the meeting at all. So it's super important to follow the guidelines if you never go in alone. And if you're standing there and the other person hadn't showed up, you know, go out to your car, text somebody, you know, that you have a number to that's in H9, and we will try to find someone to get there. But 9 times out of 10, if you're doing it at that time, they're not going to get there in time for the meeting. So we do try to, there's a panel coordinator that will set up who goes in each time with you. And, you know, if you love carrying a message to addicts who can't get out to meetings, you know, I know you'll show up. Don't give anyone within the facility your address or telephone number. And this is super important. I mean, because when I was incarcerated, you know, if somebody had given me their address while I was incarcerated and I was not ready to change, I would be calling somebody and saying, hey, they're going to be in the meeting at this time next week. Go hit their house. You can see it. You know, so we need you to stay safe and protected. And that's why, and you don't want to start getting collect calls from a prison or a jail, you know, so don't give out your cell phone at all. Don't provide anyone with another NA members. Yeah, we don't give out other people's either. Yeah, no. Just because, oh, you need to talk to Sally, let me give you her number. No. But if they get to a meeting, you can go introduce them to Sally. And she can give them the number. Okay, don't bring anyone who is not supposed to be there, sponsee, friend, guest. A lot of facilities have an approval list that we have provided that have gone through the training. If they have not gone through our orientation, H&I orientation, then they're not allowed in there, and they need to be active, you know, in H&I. All right. Don't ask what type of crime an inmate or resident has been charged with or convicted with, or discuss guilt or innocence. That's not what we're there for. We're there to carry a message of recovery. So even if they say, well, I was charged with, you know, and that's what happens when you walk in. I'm not guilty. You know, they're all going to tell you that too if you go into a jail. They busted me for this and I didn't do that, you know. We don't talk about that. We're only there to carry a message. And let's see. Don't break another person's anonymity. Anonymity is very sacred. We don't, you know, we talk about anonymity in there when we close the circle. If you see here, please let it stay here, because our jobs and lives depend on it. But more importantly, don't go out and tell somebody who you saw in jail.
That's right.
That is not cool. That is not cool. You know, that's their anonymity. They may not need people to know, you know, so it's very, very sacred to us that we don't break their anonymity either. Don't emphasize using days. You know, so many meetings on the outside, people talk about, oh, when I was using, I did this, and now I do this. Well, we try not to even really go to any kind of emphasizing using. We try to keep the focus on recovery. Don't read too many literature sections. Keep it short and simple to keep everyone's attention. And don't glorify your past. Don't say, I feel like I'm talking to my kids. Doggone it. Y'all pay attention. Don't do it. All right, let's see. Don't compare your bottom to theirs. We're only here to talk about recovery. Don't patronize adolescents. We don't have any adolescents meetings right now, and there's very specific requirements for that, especially if they're young teenage girls. We don't have 50-year-old men going in and carry the message. So we have guidelines around adolescents as well. Never taken H&I meeting. Well, this is on here twice. This is perfect. You don't go in alone. That's it. All right. And at this time, let's see. Okay. Okay, at this time, Lisa, who is our area H&I chair, and Jason, who used to be a region H&I chair, are going to come up and talk and share a little bit about the subcommittee.
Thanks, Sharon.
We love you. We hope that doesn't discourage you.
Hey, I'm Lisa, I'm an addict. And I appreciate everybody's help. I am the newly elected H&I chair. For our Northeast Georgia area, Lulu is the outgoing chair. What the H&I subcommittee does is basically, we do meet an area, when area meets. We do an orientation at 10:30 for anybody, we just go over the do's and don'ts, get people signed up. Then we have our regular H&I meeting. We definitely need people to volunteer to help. We need, I think, a secretary. We do have somebody that's nominated for H&I vice chair, but we just need people to help coordinate facilities. Right now, the only facilities we're serving consistently are the Athens Men's Diversion Center and Avita Detox in Athens. Avita's in Flowery Branch, Diversion Center of Athens. We also carry a virtual meeting into the women's prison Whitworth twice a month, but they're requesting that we do in person. Athens Clark County Jail is requesting. With COVID opening, seats opening back up after COVID, we're having, with the overdose epidemic and everything right now, these facilities are starting to reach out to us requesting help. So we really need volunteers, people willing to carry the message. And like Sherry said, I think the thing is just make sure, if you come, you say you're going to be there, because we're running, a lot of times people, sounds good, they say they're going to be there, one person shows up, somebody else doesn't show up, we can't take the message in. And that one volunteer stuck being, not being able to carry the message. So we just really need people that are, and you don't have to do it. It's not like you have to commit and be there every week. I mean, you can commit and come in once a month or be on the list when we don't have anybody. But we need just people that are willing to commit, even minimally, to help us. And to help us share, Kate has mentioned these other facilities. I think before COVID, we were doing Franklin County, Stephen, we were doing a lot of the county jails.
Almost 20 people.
So we really cut down with COVID, but like I said, they're reaching back out to us. And we need people going in, helping these people. Because what's happening is these people getting out of jail, they're dying fast. So
Within a week.
yeah, so we need help. Thanks.
Okay, I'm Maddie, called Jason. I'm nobody special. I'm not from this area, but I get to talk to y'all, which is cool. So, why are we talking about H&I at a convention? This convention is as much NA as H&I is. I wanted to say a little bit. Sherry asked me to talk about area H&I subcommittee and region subcommittee, and so I thought I would point out that our traditions are our unity. They are the ties that bind us together, and our traditions are basically talking to us as a group. How many of y'all are a member of an NA home group? Right. How many of your NA home groups need assistance? Right. We're always looking for somebody to be a part of it, right? Chair a meeting, hug somebody, do something to what? Primary purpose. Fifth tradition says what? Our group's primary purpose is to carry the message that addict and still suffers. So it's laid out in our traditions that the group has a job, and its job is we do that job. When we go to our groups, our job is very specific. And the deal is our groups spread out all over the damn place, right? And it's like, okay, well, my group's in Livonia, that's Franklin County. And Franklin County Jail calls up, finds the NA hotline somehow, says, hey, we got a bunch of people dying, we got addicts in our jail, is there anything NA does for y'all? Well, we got that meeting up there in Franklin County. Let's call the meeting in Livonia and see. That's not how it works. Because the meeting's primary purpose isn't to carry a message into the jail. The meeting has one primary purpose. Carry the message to Still Servers right there in the group. That's what the group's job is. So the traditions go on to explain in Tradition 9, NA as such ought never be organized, but we create service boards and committees that are directly responsible back to us. So when you hear those things coming from your GSR back to your home group, hey, the H&I subcommittee's wanting to do this, or they need some more money to do that, or H&I's asking people to come get involved, or whatever, that's what we ask them to do. It was before I got clean, it was before you got clean, it was before any of us got clean, but they're coming there, they're coming back with these requests and asking us to be a part of area in order to help carry the message so your group can really focus on those people that are coming in the door. So we created a subcommittee to take care of things like conventions, which we love. We're like, I'm going to support. I'm going to that convention. It's going to be fun. Save money all year to go, right? But when it comes down to taking that meeting over there to the jail, I've got to get off work. I got to get me a shower. I got to dress up some kind of way. I've got to drive all the way up. I've got to show up, and then somebody's got to meet me there. That's part of what we do to practice gratitude for our own stuff. And the neat thing is it's like these are forever plates that have to be spun. Right? There's a plate spinning over there, and when I'm living my own little life and I'm getting my recovery on, I really don't even know about this plate until my sponsor's like, hey, there's no billboards for NA. There's not the damn advertisement spinning on the damn radio. It's not coming across your TV. You're not looking at Facebook and an NA ad pops up that says, hey, you got a drug problem. What happens is there's a bunch of people in recovery in Narcotics Anonymous that are walking around, and if we don't carry the message, then people don't know about NA. So the 10th tradition says Narcotics Anonymous has no opinion on outside issues, hence the NA name ought never be drawn into public controversy. So as NA members, we've got this job to carry a clean message about Narcotics Anonymous and not make it personal. It's easy to get it personal and take it personal, but since I'll start telling my story, I need Anita to go with me so she can help me carry the NA story. And likewise, David needs Anita to help him carry an NA message and not David's message. And in that fashion, NA spreads on. So we need the area to create this subcommittee called Hospitals and Institutions, right? That we fund when we put $1 in the basket, or whatever. And if you can't put $1 in the basket, you might give Lisa your phone number so she can call you and say, hey, we got a need. You can't put in $1, but can you meet somebody over here? Can you help somebody carry the message of NA? And then, just to be honest, we don't really network as good as we could. But we have this line of accountability through our GSR to the area so we can stay in contact about what's going on locally. We do the same thing regionally. And sometimes the regional subcommittee is a way for us to know that we're doing way better than we thought we were.
And our regional subcommittee chair is Mary
Quinn's right there. Well, the regional subcommittees where your area H&I person would go and just say, hey, this is what we're doing. This is how we're doing it. and hear what other areas in our region are doing and how they're doing it. And sometimes you learn new stuff, like how to recruit, or maybe this area does well with long-term commitments, but this one does much better with short-term commitments. Like, can you just chair 2 H&I commitments in a 6-month period? Will you mark them on your calendar? And in this other area, you got to be there every Saturday for 2 months. What time? 6:30. 6:30. Yep, that's when they'll let us in. See, a lot of the times NA commitments are at other people's convenience. And the thing about being of service is we gotta realize that we're literally, the preacher's not going to tell them about us. The doctor's not going to tell them about us. You know, a lot of treatment is not going to tell them about us anymore. So we have to do our own telling. And thank God for a subcommittee. You know, and it gets messy. It gets messy because we're all people. Push us into one. We're addicts thrust together, right? That's what the basic text is. We're thrust together. And anyway, thanks for letting me share. I hope y'all.
Mary Quinn, our regional H&I chair, is coming up to.
I have no idea what I'm going to talk about. I'm Mary Quinn, I'm an addict. And I serve the Georgia region as the H&I subcommittee chair for the region. So in a nutshell, I serve all of you. And my ultimate goal, and our ultimate goal at region, is to ensure that the areas have what they need to carry a message into hospitals and institutions in their area. Sherry oversees this amazing bridge program. Are y'all familiar with it? No. Raise your hand if you know what the bridge program is. So yeah, not many. So the bridge program is basically a bridge. It creates a bridge between Narcotics Anonymous in the state of Georgia and the Georgia Department of Corrections. That's prisons specifically. So as we know, if you're in a jail, generally speaking, you're not in a jail for 20 years, right? You're in a jail for a shorter term. You have more of a, not to say it's an easy transition, but you have an easier transition back into society, getting involved with Narcotics Anonymous. If an individual has been in a Georgia Department of Corrections facility for an extended period of time, an extended sentence, then there is a good chance it's going to be a bit of a curve to figure out how to live in society. That's a new thing, right? How to live on the outside. So what the Bridge program does is provide them with a contact. It provides them with literature. It provides them with a meeting list. And Sherry also goes above and beyond and just at a base level helps us to develop a relationship with the Georgia Department of Corrections. Because prisons are generally speaking not in metro areas, other than the Metro Transitional Center, right? Which is like a little bit different. But generally they're in the middle of nowhere. And not by where most people live. So when you look at our areas and you go, okay, well this will be easy. We'll just take each prison and put it in the associated area. Most aren't in an area. They're in these middle of nowhere roads, which requires what? Our collaboration. We must work together to serve these places. Because it's not going to be Mary Quinn can hop in the car and be there in 10 minutes, serve, come home.
2 hours.
You know, yeah, to Sherry's point, it's a 2-hour hike. So with that being said, that's the Bridge program. Now I'll be real brief on this, but you know, it's awesome to be here at this convention. I'm grateful I drove up this morning, and I know that we had region last weekend, and we had our subcommittee meeting last weekend, and we had 8. We had 8 areas represented.
How many?
Out of 19.
Wow.
So, is that a problem? No, it's an is, right? Like there's no need to say like,
There are 8 areas there.
yes, exactly. With that being said, what I just want to let you guys know is the number one thing we heard is we can't get anybody to serve. We lost all our trusted servants during COVID. We had built up these lists, and now with the prisons or the jails or the treatment centers are calling us back, and we don't have anyone to serve them. So what do? So I want just to let each of you know, because and Lulu, it's nice to finally meet you. I think we've only emailed, but if each of you goes and tells 2 to 3 people, think about that. There are probably 20 people in this room. That's 40 to 60. As Lulu spoke on and as Sherry spoke on the other half of, it requires an orientation. Okay, that's going to take about 30 minutes of your time once a week. Really intense. Like, I dare you to try it, right? Because, I mean, literally, you sit there, you go, you sign off on these things, and then you don't wear open-toed shoes like I am, and you don't cuss, right? And you go in, and I'll be quiet after this, but the thing about an H&I presentation is it's a presentation, right? We have a tendency to go into meetings, and I definitely share. I share to save my life, right? And I share a message of hope. In an H&I meeting, we are specifically spreading the message. It's not, well, my condo flooded, and this happened, and man, it's been a rough day. It's the message of hope and the promise of freedom that any addict can stop using, lose the desire to use, and find a new way to live. Our message is hope and the promise of freedom. And we have these steps, and we go through these steps. And the first one is that we admit that we were powerless over our addiction and our lives have become unmanageable. Okay, then we're done, and that was the message for that meeting, right? Like, that's it. Because you know what? You might think, oh, we just went in there, we shared, and all those people probably, I've never seen any of them in a meeting. Like, is it work? How are we doing this? Like, what are we doing? Well, I don't know about y'all, but it took about 3 years for the message that I heard in a Narcotics Anonymous meeting to land me in the meeting where I got my last white key tag. Those people who delivered that message may never know that I stand here 16 years and change later. So, know what you're doing matters. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you for letting me share. And just a friendly invitation, anyone can come to the region subcommittee. You do not have to be a chair or anything. You can just come. It's in Forsyth in the middle of nowhere. Thank you.
Hey family, so we do have sign-up sheets over here and have several facilities listed that need to be served. I think there's seven on that list. So we need a lot of people. So really, really hope that we can get y'all to sign up. A copy of the do's and don'ts are over there. There's a ton of H&I literature, a copy of an H&I handbook, and we really need you. And I was reading the steps earlier, and it talked about making amends, and it reminded me of when I was in jail, and I stole your shit in there. Wasn't incarcerated with any of y'all, but I stole your stuff. And if you turned your head, it was mine, so I give back, in that manner. It's very close to my heart. We do hope that it becomes close to yours. But at this time, we're going to continue with part 2 of our skit, and then we'll have time for questions and answers, okay? Let me get the copy.
All right, yes. Oh.
You gonna help me make the coffee?
Sure.
All right. If you'll make the coffee, I'll go ahead. The coffee.
Sharon?
We just started the coffee.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, we just started the coffee. We got a few more minutes. Let's see.
All right, so this is 6 months later at an outside meeting. You can tell it's an outside meeting because there's a coffee pot. There's no coffee pots usually. Well, sometimes there might be an H and I, but most of the time there's no coffee. Okay. All right. So someone's hugging me at the door.
Hey, here. Hey, how you doing?
I'm all right.
Are you your first time here?
Yes.
Oh, we're so glad to see you. Thank you for coming.
I just got out of 6 months of rehab and I don't want to get high no more.
Hey, man, welcome.
Welcome. Welcome, glad you're here.
Coffee will be ready in a minute.
Oh, good.
Hey, come on in. Come on.
Is this it, Anna?
You're in the right place, girl. Come on in. How you doing? Oh, here, why don't you sit here next to me, okay? You want coffee?
You.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good.
It's good to see you. Glad you're here.
So tell us.
I didn't have to use anymore. And I thank you for that.
You're in the right place.
Thank you.
So how'd you hear about NA?
I think I was in the same in H&I
remember
meeting in
you
Detox. Were you
too.
in Detox with me?
Yes.
I had longer hair there.
You know, they never brought me any socks, but
Well, listen, I went to rehab and stuff, and now I've got 6 months clean.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so glad y'all made it. I take meetings in the detox facility. I may have seen one of y'all there. I hope
You
so.
might have. I don't. A lot of that's just a fog. I
Well,
don't
we're
even-
glad you're here. Hey, it's time for a meeting. You want to have a meeting?
Let's have one.
Let's have
start
one.
this thing. Hey, is the coffee about ready?
Yep, it's ready.
This is gonna be our speaker?
Okay.
Killer.
And that's kind of how it goes when we are in an outside meeting. They'll show up, and you never know whose life you touch when you're in there. And it could be 6 months later that you see them. It could be 10 years later, and they're like, "I still remember you bringing that meeting in." And that's not really why we do it, for the recognition, but it is definitely so rewarding when that happens. It's just amazing what happens here.
Lulu is also doing like newcomer service. She's guarding the coffee pot.
Do we vow?
We're doing a raffle. I love it.
Questions and answers, and then the raffle. We got,
What we got?
questions and answers real quick, and then we're doing our raffle.
Does everyone got a raffle ticket? Anyone missing a raffle ticket?
Everyone got one? You got the drawing tickets?
I got it under control.
So, questions and answers, any questions? We're all here to answer questions, any one of us. Jason and Mary Quinn and David, we all are open for questions.
I do want to say this. Everyone that was on that panel chaired, except for Jake, chaired the Northeast Georgia H&I committee at some point in time.
That's right.
So you got like, I don't know, 10 or 12.
I think I was in it in 2006.
Yeah, 15 years ago. But we also want to say COVID hit us hard. And you know, we were doing 20 meetings, you know. So we need to grow. The hardest thing about stuff like this is inertia. And we got stopped in our tracks. You know, before COVID, the ball was rolling down the hill and you had to just jump in and do your part and push it. We need a big shove right now. We need a big shove from everybody to get this thing rolling again. And just before COVID as well, we all got approved. How many people? 60 people got approved from the DOC to go into the prison. We got approved, and a month later, COVID, nothing. Now we got to start that process all over. We've tried for years to get into prisons from the bottom up. You know, go to the prison. Hey, we're from Northeast Georgia. Can you please do that? You know, we got connected to the state. We were coming in from the top down. We were going to be approved. We're talking about 60 people approved.
60 in 2019. In December of 2019, everybody got approved by February. They should have gotten their badges if they followed up.
Mhm.
And March 2020 is when COVID hit.
Right.
So kind of all that, now they need new applications, new
Right.
training. You have to go through the training
Start
again.
over.
So we will get that.
So yeah, and those people were approved to go in every prison in Georgia, not just a particular, although we were being assigned, they were approving us in the entire department. That's really so cool.
And now they're calling us and asking us, can you come?
Did you have a question?
Yeah, did y'all have a meeting at the region where we got people approved, or,
We had the meeting at Region.
and is that something they're
And
gonna
a
do
trainer came
again
in
at
and
region?
trained us for 4 hours. It's a 4-hour training. You go to Forsyth, to their facility and do it. But she came in and did like an abbreviated version, but still covered everything. And you filled out your application right there. I think it's more electronic now. Everybody can apply online. If you go to Georgia Department of Corrections website, look under volunteer services, chaplaincy, it goes through the chaplain at Department of Corrections. And there's a link right there where you can apply online. Once you are approved from that online application, then they will call you and say, you can come do the training with us now. So you gotta pass the background check and all that, but they will call you and invite you to the next training. And
Send you an email. The next one
when
is
is your, when are
Saturday.
you going to get
A week from
certified?
today.
A week from today. So it's, on a Saturday, that you drive down to Forsyth
10 to 2.
and go to the training, and then you get your badge. Yes.
Do you have to be a Georgia resident or a Georgia Narcotics Anonymous home group or?
We're in Northeast Georgia area. If you're part of the Northeast Georgia area, we highly recommend you have a home group. You have a sponsor.
I'm from South Carolina, the reason I asked.
We have a prison up that way that borders South Carolina. We could probably talk about coordinating together to get that served. Is it, which one is it? It's a women?
Yeah, Whitworth is.
Whitworth. But I thought there was one on the border of like Anderson, South Carolina.
That's Whitworth, it's in,
Oh, that's-
it's in,
well,
Marble.
Okay. I thought there was a men over that way.
There might be.
Well, either way, I mean, is somebody from South Carolina able to go? Because I mean, we got a lot of women in South Carolina.
Yeah, I think we're open to coordinating with another area. Absolutely, absolutely. Trevor?
I was just wondering to get into the prison, is that the only day they do the training? Probably on Saturdays, right? That's probably the only time that you're able to carry a message to the prisons is on the weekend.
No, the day will
Yeah,
take
yeah.
the,
Yeah, so the way the prison, the current process for being badged by a Georgia Department of Corrections facility is just like everything else, it's moved online, right? And so what it looks like, back to Sherry's point, is it's a bit like, I'll tell anyone, like, I would go ahead and beforehand commit to my sponsor that I'm doing it, and decide I'm gonna apply the spiritual principle of perseverance, because you gotta prove it, right? It's not like, oh, this is really easy. Now, once you do it, it's a bunch of videos you watch where they talk about, you know, the Prison Rape Act, and just
Yeah,
like
the
the
Prison Rape Act is
basics
very
of
important.
like,
Yeah, well,
but as far as when we serve facilities,
yeah.
that's all over the place. Like, it's as varied and as different as the needs of that facility.
each facility has their own guidelines that you have to follow.
Yes. So
Whether
there's
it's
no,
detox or prison or jail, each one has kind of its own theme of what you have to follow.
And I do want to, the statewide stuff, but here in Northeast Georgia, we have a subcommittee serving Northeast Georgia, the local jails, the local detox facilities. So if you'd like to be a part of that, come sign up and show up at an area meeting for the small, short orientation, and we'll get you committed. Now, again, we're trying to restart a big engine right now, so be patient, and as we get into more facilities, we will start to grow. David?
Explain to them about panel coordinator.
About a panel coordinator? Okay, so each facility has its own panel coordinator. So like right now, as we're starting back to go into Athens, Clark County, we've been here for years. COVID, before that. So now they're calling us. We tried to contact them for the last year. Hey, what's going on? When can we get back in? When can we get back in? It's hard to get a response. Then one day they pop up, they call Sherry. They say, hey, or contacted you somehow.
Yeah.
And they say, hey, when does that A come back in? And we're like, we've been trying to call you for a
Well,
month. Anyway.
And what really happened is she called and said, we have a reentry portion in the jail. And we suggested that one of the girls go to rehab. She got out a week later and she had died from an overdose. So she called and said she needs us back in. And she needs Narcan, she needs all kinds of stuff. So, I mean, we don't do the Narcan, but I mean, it's serious, y'all.
Yeah. So each panel, each facility has their own panel coordinator who will have several panel members assigned to them, and they'll say, you're going in next Tuesday. Look, this commitment is, in general, one night a month. If you can commit to one night a month, it'll change H&I.
That's right.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, just one evening, go down to the local jail. If you don't want to talk, sit with someone who does. You know? Just so we have those two people. So, it's not a huge thing. A little bit of a commitment, a little bit of time, it can make a big difference.
A lot of love.
Yeah.
We love H&I.
So, being on a committee or a panel doesn't mean you're sold out. Now, you hear these horror stories. I went into the jail every weekend for 16 years. And, you know, we're working on that. If you're at that level of commitment and you want to go, then go. Don't complain about it later. But talk to your sponsor. So, but anyway, I think we probably have to pull the raffle off now.
Crystal, did you have
Yes.
Okay, any other questions? Please sign up if you're interested. Different facilities have different requirements. It used to be that nobody on paper got in jails. Now they're allowing. Oh, question. That's what it is. Question.
Oh, I was just gonna ask, what, you said that, does each facility have a minimum required clean time, or is it a year for each one?
A lot of times, each facility is different. And a lot of times, H&I kind of says, you know, we want a year or something. We just don't want people coming in 30 days and trying to.
Our minimum is 6 months to go to speak. I think you can go in at 3 months with somebody else, but not really share.
Right, yeah.
But the jail requires a year.
Each
Right.
facility, the diversion center we service right now, they require 9 months. And you can be on probation, but they have to have a letter that you're compliant with probation. You know, we've tried to take a meeting into Coney County Jail forever, and none of us meet their strict requirements because they won't.
Out of
No
7
fel-
applications,
yeah.
only 2 got approved.
Yeah, they're really strict about, so it varies by the, you know, most of the detoxes, it's just 6 months, and they don't do a background check, but, you know, we don't recommend if you got warrants or anything applying to get in jail.
Don't do it.
Yes,
Because people have done that, and then.
Oh, it has it, yeah. Yes.
Say you do go in and you reach someone, you know, while you're there, they actually want literature or more information, like how, do you have to wait till the next time you go, or is there a way?
Oh, no, we bring
We
in
take it all.
pamphlets and basic texts and,
Oh,
and schedules and all that kind of stuff. And they go into the jail. We bring in information as we go. And
We have a format of.
during COVID, Lulu carried that information to jail after jail that we used to have meetings in and kept that process going when we couldn't go in.
That's right.
Okay, we're gonna raffle. Has everybody got a raffle ticket? Yeah, let's get it. If you're missing raffle tickets, you missed out. All right. For what are we doing first?
Let's do a t-shirt.
We're doing a free t-shirt. Now listen, go over there and get your t-shirt. Because
Don't
they might
wait.
not have your size
Don't wait.
later in the day.
Yeah.
All right. Ticket 6.
My glasses aren't any
Don't
better.
worry. Get the glasses. There's little ants on this page. Okay. What was their number? 819081. Yay!
Congratulations.
All right, what's next?
How about a bumper sticker?
A bumper sticker.
So I goodbye.
819083. Hey! Wait, have you got a vehicle? Have you got a bumper? Do you have a bumper? If you don't have a bumper, you can return that.
I don't put them on my car, but I'm all over my bathroom.
Okay. Next, we will give away
The special edition 60th anniversary special edition of the white booklet.
Yeah, 60th anniversary.
Special edition.
819077.
Oh, over me.
All right. T-shirt, back to a T-shirt. 819002. 819002. Did somebody leave? All right. No, I gave him a new one when he came in. All right, that is no longer valid.
Here it is, right here.
002. You have to look at your ticket. If you're having trouble reading, it's good.
You can't disqualify and requalify.
Okay. Yes, that's true.
You sound like someone from Region.
Let me check the policy. Okay.
All right.
Now, what is next? What are those? What are those?
That's
That's
two
the
registrations for next
Okay.
year. We have two more t-shirts.
All right, 2 more T-shirts and 1 more book. We get
Well,
another
we
one.
have those little things there too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, T-shirt number 3, 819058. You'll have to go over to the merchandise and you like the T-shirt. Yes. Yes, and do it soon because they've run out of T-shirts.
And this is the introductory guide that we use in H&I.
We use the little white booklet as well as an introductory guide to Narcotics Anonymous. Great book. They're a little bit more expensive than a little white booklet, but they're really good. So that's what we're raffling now.
Okay, 819082. All right.
And then the registration.
1 more T-shirt, is that correct?
One more t-shirt.
Let's get 1 more T-shirt. 819001. The T-shirt row. And then last but not least, this is 2 registration for next year's Madonna Convention.
Mention next year here.
Yeah, so did you get it? I gave you one, yes. Okay, are you ready? So this is it. I'm going to shake it up. Shake it up.
Hey, don't put mine in there?
No, I want you to chair.
You said pre-registered.
Yeah. 819042. All right. That's right. Yeah, we'll have you next year,
I'm gonna have to stay married another year.
All right, let's circle up and close the meeting.
Thank you everyone for coming. That's all.
Thanks for having us. You did.
Was it everything you thought?
Go on down.
Well, not too far, you can take it a little bit, and reach there.
I guess we'll end with the version of the Serenity Prayer. All right, who gives us hope and keeps us off the dope?